Great promises were made by government to focus on independent power producers and develop renewable energy projects like solar plants in the Northern Cape. But a power struggle between key political figures in the ruling party could possibly derail the country's just energy transition.
It's well known that there is a disconnect between the president of the country and the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, and they have quite different views on the future of the energy mix or the electricity generating mix in the country. The minister is clearly has some interest somewhere that makes him a big supporter of the coal lobby, and even talking now about building additional coal-fired power stations, while the president is maybe less in that camp, and he talks a lot about the just energy transition, looking at renewables, looking at other investment that will enable a larger penetration of renewables. But my understanding seems that that these two heavyweights within the ANC has a tussle going on, which is very sad for the rest of the country, because we, and especially the poor people of this country, are at the mercy of this unfortunate power struggle.
If we do not act speedily, our livelihoods will be severely impacted. Not people die of suspected heat stroke like the 7 farm workers in Kakamas in the Northern Cape earlier this year, but food security will also be compromised.
The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change assessed in 2018 that should the world's global temperature reach a level of 3 degrees Celsius, we will in fact see the collapse of the maize crop across southern Africa, and we will also see the end of the cattle industry. And that is because of the combined impacts of periods of excessive drought combined with heat waves. So just try to imagine the Northern Cape in South Africa, or Botswana or Northwest Province without any cattle. Or try to imagine the Free State Province without any maize production. Life as we know it in Southern Africa can be changed irreversibly if the world is unsuccessful with achieving carbon neutrality. That is why it is so important for South Africa to contribute its own fair share to that mitigation process. It's for our own good, because it is about protecting our way of life and our sustainable agriculture and our sustainable water resources in the Southern African region.
Engelbrecht says an El Nino weather pattern will not just bring heat waves, but also drought. Low rainfall in the catchment areas of the Vaal Dam could see Gauteng residents waking up with no water in their taps.
The single biggest climate change risk that South Africa faces from an economic perspective is the occurrence of a so-called day zero drought in the Gauteng province. Can it happen that the Vaal Dam can it happen that South Africa in the east can become so dry that the mega dams, including the Vaal Dam, can no longer supply Gauteng sufficiently with the water that it needs for its households, its large population, its industries? And climate science is telling us that this is in fact a possibility. And back in 2015-16, that summer, at the end of a 4-year drought, we in fact almost reached that level, when the Vaal Dam was at 25%. Should its level have fallen to below 20%, it would no longer have been able to supply Gauteng with water for engineering reasons and because of water quality reasons. And if climate change mitigation fails and we cannot achieve net zero emissions, that risk may become a substantial one. And drought impact in South Africa are far-reaching in terms of water security, industrial processes, and also, of course, in terms of our agriculture.
Despite the dire impact climate change could have on the weather, many doubt whether they can do anything about it and are unsure how they should prepare for it.
You are absolutely reliant on the weather, and that's the one thing you can't change. You can implement some strategies, water management, stuff like that, but you're not going to change the weather.
With load shedding frequently reaching higher levels, the focus has moved away from climate change solutions. Hein Vosloo, an energy expert, says, while most people are only aware of solar and wind renewable energy sources, there are also other options to consider that could help alleviate our energy crisis and help attain our net zero goals.
I'm a great believer in using existing power stations, repurposing them, and I'm even on record of saying that let's use coal, but in a method that does not pollute the atmosphere. And there is technologies available, and that is of making syngas out of the coal, cleaning that gas before you use it in a turbine to generate power.
Although the ultimate goal is to completely eliminate the use of fossil fuels like coal, this is not immediately possible. Therefore, we should look at ways of using it optimally.
At current, a lot of work is being done to ensure that the coal that we use are of best possible quality that we can use. That will alleviate a lot of the pressures that we put onto the environment, and we can make sure that the impact on the environment is as low as possible. Obviously, it's not possible to immediately eliminate coal from our energy mix. So while we are phasing coal out, we must make sure that we can use coal to the best optimum possibility, and in that way ensure that the impact on the environment is as little as possible.
On the positive side, South Africa has an abundance of sunshine that can be used to create clean energy. This is illustrated at the Bokpoort concentrated solar power plant in Groblershoop in the Northern Cape. CEO Bongi Mdodana Zulu says solar power plays a leading role in providing clean energy.
We generate clean energy in the true sense of the word clean, without any other contamination, and generating from the natural resources is the best way possible in order to reach the net zero. In these cases, we would not even use diesel to generate electricity. The diesel is only used for emergency purposes. So by ensuring that you've got plants that can generate electricity in the cleanest way possible, you would be able to reach the net zero expectation that is required.
It is the perfect renewable energy integrated system that will give us the electricity capacity we need to keep the lights on.
It depends a lot on what it is that you want to optimize to determine, what is the perfect mix.
And if you wonder if turning off your geyser will help to alleviate our energy problem, Vosloo has the answer.
Oh yes, if you ask me how do I get 4 or 5,000 megawatts available on the network in 18 months, the answer is you switch off geysers.
Although it is possible for the country to reach its net zero emissions goal, we need to transition to cleaner energy faster. This will only be possible if government puts aside internal differences and acts decisively. This story was created with funding and support from Internews Earth Journalism Network. Lizette Labuschagne, SABC News, Upington.